Chairman's announcements. Just to let everyone know that questions put to the Council at the meeting will be answered. However, to ensure an accurate response is given, they may be answered at the next meeting or by mail, whichever is most appropriate to the situation. I had a Facebook message from Gary Fitch-Goodwin, and also this was also a question from Kevin Johnson regarding the application for St Clair's School as to why the Parish Council turned down that application. The application was turned down firstly due to the fact the figure asked for was greater than the amount the Council has budgeted for 137 grants this financial year. The project had very limited current funding and no fundraising events towards this project were mentioned. A grant of a smaller amount would have been unhelpful as there seemed no way for them to reach their total. I have also informed the school that if they wish to reapply, they need to contact the clerk and ask for an application form, and that needs to be returned to the council. I have provided the school with an application form just in case they wish to. The skull pins for the car park. I've asked for advice on this matter from Cormac. They're not the contractor carrying out the work on the car park and will give an unbiased advice. I'm awaiting their response. The suggestions to use the skull pins was made by a member of the public who was aware we'd used them in the past. We're still awaiting the licence to operate the car park from Cornwall Council. They have been contacted to try and speed up the process. Once we have this licence, the car park will be relayed in a school holiday to try and minimise disruption. The fuel currently stored at the previous chair's house is going to be purchased at market value by a local contractor who uses diesel for their machinery. And lastly, for me, the traffic cones. I've written to the head teacher of St Clair's School about the traffic cones, explaining the situation. She is quite happy for us to have them back, and she has emailed Mr Johnson and asked him to return them to the PC. If this does not materialise, I'll arrange for there to be collected. Right, over to Andy in a second. Andy would like to read out his decision letter from the monitoring office. Derris and myself were also reported and no breach was found.
I wasn't going to wait out of respect for the process until after the 11th, which was the time that the complainant had to go back to the council. However, I'm conscious it's been published on social media. So, for the transparency, I'm going to read out the assessment decision notice for myself. So, the complainant was Mr Kevin Johnson, subject member was myself, Councillor Andy Webb. The person conducting the assessment was Simon Mansell, and the date of the assessment was the 26th of September. The complaint. On the 26th of September 2018, the monitoring officer considered a complaint from Mr Kevin Johnson concerning the alleged conduct of Councillor Andy Webb at St Clair Parish Council. A general summary of the complaint is set out below. The complaint was set out at a meeting of the Parish Council held on the 8th of August 2018. The subject member submitted a motion to Council. The complainant stopped filming which the complainant considers an ultra-virus decision. That, for the reasons as set out in this notice, there has been no breach of the Code of Conduct and no further action needs to be taken. The reasons for the decision are, in assessing this complaint, I have had regard to the following: the complaint, the response from the subject member and the views of the independent person that signs this matter. The complainant has set out that at a meeting of the Parish Council held on the 8th of August 2018, the subject member submitted a motion to Council. The complainant stopped filming, which the complainant considers ultra-virus. The subject member has responded to this complaint by setting out that he made the proposal as he considers that the complainant was causing a disruption to the meeting by filming, and there was also a need to protect an employee from the actions of the complainant. Application of the Code of Conduct. I am satisfied that for the purpose of this complaint that the subject member was acting in his official capacity at the time of the alleged conduct and was therefore bound by the Code of Conduct. Findings of fact. In considering the findings of fact, decisions are based on the balance of probabilities. That is, would a reasonable person in possession of all the facts objectively consider that a breach of the Code of Conduct has occurred. I have noted the comment made by the complainant and the response by the subject member. In particular, I have noted that the motion was accepted by the council, and the decision to stop the filming became a council decision. It was not something that could then be attributed to an individual. The Code of Conduct can only consider if the actions of individual members and not decisions that are made by a council, as the jurisdiction of the code does not extend to such decision. In considering if the actions of proposing a motion are breach of the conduct, were the Code of Conduct extended to a member making a motion or suggesting A, that a vote be taken that may or may not be appropriate, then the management of the ethical standards process would become unattainable. Members should be free to propose what they wish, and it is then for the corporate body, taking advice from its officer or officers, to consider if the matter should be voted upon. As it is considered that the actions of the subject member do not amount to a breach of the Code of Conduct, but to the Code. Actions to remedy the breach, as no breach of the Code has occurred, no further action needs to be taken. Okay? Thank you.
We're now going to allow it up to 15 minutes for public questions. Do you wish to speak?
Yes, if I may. Thank you for answering some of the outstanding questions. Much appreciated. I've got some further questions to add to the list this evening. The local maintenance partnership arrangement, would you be in a position to furnish a public copy of the public rights of way and the dates upon which they were cut or trimmed, please? Would you also be in a position to furnish the date of submission or the intended date of submission for this financial year's LMP grant application to Cornwall Council? Would you confirm, please, the name and the membership of all current parish council committees? It appears at present that both the obsolescent and the draft standing orders and references to committees that are made in current minutes are out of kilter and make no sense. Would you be in a position to confirm the contract term, the initial and current pay rates of staff, the initial and current contracted hours of employees? I note this evening that the sighting of the camera has been positioned with the councillors all facing their back to the camera, and I would highlight that this perhaps is not the open and forward-facing council that the public may wish to see. I'll comment further on Councillor Webb's recent submission and confirm to the Parish Council that the Code of Conduct complaint has been referred for review to the Monitoring Officer on the basis that the decision was arrived at without Cornwall Council having viewed, despite having been offered, the video footage which Councillor Webb and this Parish Council suggested was causing a breach or a disturbance within the council meeting. It's quite clear that the council has now brought itself up to date with the current regulations and is not making any measures to prevent filming, which is a lawful and peaceful activity. I'd also make note of the vehement application, and I suspect we're about to reach it, of the application of the 3-minute rule when it suits you, and its complete disregard when it suits you. And note that this is a poignant example of the double standards and hypocrisy of your management of this parish council. Thank you.
I'll get those points worked on and an answer will be forthcoming at the next meeting. Yeah, wasn't it? We went to visit the site and we've had a look at it. Right, I'm going to go to receipts and payments next, because the last item is a restricted item, so rather than have people come in and act. We now move to a restricted item on the agenda, so I will ask the members to come to you. Thank you very much. And that's at the end of the agenda. There's no more public part of the agenda.
The correct process would be for a motion to be put to the vote for the public to be asked to depart. But I'll leave that with you perhaps the next time.
All those in favour of going to part 2?
fantastic. Well done. You championed your standing orders, now you're starting to learn them.